College football. I've loved it basically my entire life. I think that the first game I ever saw on TV, I remember the first NFL game. It was the Patriots and Bills back in, I think it was 88. No, 89. Excuse me. I think it was 89. First college football game that I saw was West Virginia Boston College. I don't remember what year that was. I'm thinking that was 88 as well. Could be wrong. So the first sport that I ever started watching was football. I still remember the first baseball game that I watched as well, though. I mean, the Reds and Braves, and I do follow baseball, but college football has always been my go-to sport for entertainment, and a lot of people don't realize why they watch college football. Yes, you have a team, you root for it, blah blah blah, but it does give you sort of a getaway from real life troubles. Life is stressful. We all know that. And it's just nice to have something to get your mind off everything and to have something to cheer about. And even when your team loses, to give you something besides real life to get angry about. So I'm going to admit it, I've been obsessed with college football for a very, very long time. And it's changed multiple times since I started watching it. But now it's probably about to be the biggest change we've ever seen. People my age, which believe it or not, I'm about to turn 40. Yeah. People my age, people older than me, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s on up, they experience college football with some changes that I haven't experienced, probably bigger changes. But this one right here, we will all remember this change that's about to happen. And what started it is the NIL. And to be honest with you, I was for the NIL. What I was not for is the NIL without any rules, regulations, guidelines. And that's what we're seeing. Welcome, everybody, to Going Unbluted. Going live again. Big time breaking news today. Quick reminder, if you haven't hit the like button, please do so. Even if you don't like me, even if you don't like the video, it's not really saying you like the video. It's just helping the video. Because when you hit the like button, it helps the video hit the YouTube algorithm. Whenever that happens, it gets suggested more. And whenever it gets suggested more people see it. More people click on it, and boom, that's how you grow the video. And I know there's a lot of people that do that automatically. You know who you are. I appreciate it. But sometimes you need a little reminder, and it's easy, simple, fast, and free. It's the cheapest way to support Going Unbluted. Per usual, I did forget to put the StreamYard link in, of course. So let me get that in real quick. Hold on, guys. I was doing good there for a while, and then this one weekend happened, and I just keep forgetting to put it in there before I go live. So bear with me just for 1 minute here. I think that's it. Hold on. Yeah. All right. So if this doesn't work, somebody let me know, and I'll see what key I did wrong. So there's a link to join the show. Anybody can join. It's a call-in show, but instead of like calling on a phone, you call through StreamYard. If you don't want to be on camera, that's fine. You can turn your camera off, but I do ask that you show your face before I put you on. That way I know you're not some type of creep or troll, anything like that. So if you do that, I'd greatly appreciate it. Let's see. We have Jeff Grimm. Let me change the format after this. So there's Jeff. And there's Joey. There we go. Starting off the stream strong. And if anybody in the comments section, if you have a question, comment, or a troll attempt, you want to make fun of me, that's fine. Best way to get our attention, super chat. That is that little dollar sign you see at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, just under the comments. Anything that you put in that super chat will be thrown on the screen. It will be read, and it will be addressed. And I came up with this new thing for regular videos because not everybody can make these live shows. So if you'd like to leave a comment for me to read on a live show or on a regular video, you can't get to a live show, super thanks. It is the heart sign, has the dollar sign in it, and it says thanks underneath. So hit that button. Anything in the super in the super thanks will be mentioned on the video. I'll put it on the screen, and we'll talk about it in the live show. Gentlemen, what is going on today?
Howdy. Man, I tell you what, it's great. I'm doing real good. Hey, I do want to tell everybody that tonight at 10 o'clock, I will do a Patreon live show on the Patreon page. We're going to start doing them on Thursday night. I was checking around, trying to figure out the best schedule. It looks like Thursday night's the best time. Tonight's going to be at 10. I wanted to do them at 9, but I have a meeting at 8:15, so I'm not going to be able to do a 9 o'clock one. So tonight's going to be 10. Next Thursday night will be 9 o'clock. And from now on, will be 9 on Thursday nights on Patreon page. So
Very good.
about the best
Very good.
time I can find it.
Looks like we have Shooter in the house. What's going on, Shooter?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good. Looks like now we were all expecting this to happen as far as the Big Ten signing this historic deal. I mean, this was expected, not really. Oh man, I didn't know that was going to nothing like that. But what did kind of shock me is the fact that, well, not really shocked me, but kind of made me raise my eyebrows. Is Kevin Warren came out and said the Big Ten is not expanding, and it looks like ESPN might have to put in their TV clause a way for Oregon, Washington, Stanford, and possibly even Cal to give them an out if another conference comes a-calling for those teams. So expected news for the Big Ten, but this might be terrible news for the Pac-12.
Yeah, it doesn't look good for them at all. I mean, that's most people are saying that's where the target's going to be for the Big Ten. And by the way, you said it a little wrong. The Big Ten's not done expanding. They are,
right.
Yeah. And that was the big deal. Was everybody kind of knew what the contract was going to be, but was there going to be that elevator clause so they could add more programs without diluting? And that's a huge deal. That's a killer. So it looks like everything I'm hearing, it looks like it's going to be Oregon, Washington, and Stanford. And then that fourth spot will be held open for Notre Dame.
Yep.
And because they could always go back and fill that fourth spot, if they want to. But without having divisions, they can have an odd number for a few years and let Notre Dame figure out what they want to do. So,
that's another part of the recipe that you mentioned right there. I should have mentioned that in the video, and I didn't even think about it. The divisions clause is out the window. You do not have to have divisions if you have 12 or more members to have a conference championship anymore, and that's a big deal. So, like you said, they could go ahead and take Stanford, Oregon, and Washington and deal with 19 teams and keep that spot open. And if Notre Dame is firm and it's not going to happen, Big Ten, not now, not ever. Okay, we'll take Cal, and I think that's the direction that they're going to go.
Or UNC,
or UNC. Anybody out of the ACC, really.
So, with the Big Ten signing this, though, and if those 4 teams from the Pac-12 go, who lives? The Pac-12 or the Big 12?
Oh, Pac-12's gone.
Because what the Big 12 isn't thinking about is what's the SEC going to do? If the SEC can't get into the ACC, say goodbye to West Virginia, say goodbye to Oklahoma, say goodbye to Baylor, say goodbye to UCF. Who do you got? Is the Big 12 any better than the Pac-12 without those 4 teams?
Well, here, hold on. Here's what I would say about that, okay? That very well might happen, but that's why I said in the video it's very important for the Big 12 to strike now. Like, get Arizona, Arizona State, Utah, and Colorado. Get them right now. Big 12 has got to stop being reactive. I mean, they've been one of the most picked apart conference. I mean, credit to the Big 12. They keep existing in spite of that. But they have been the target from pretty much everybody. I mean, they've lost a total of 6 members from 3 different conferences.
But will the Big 12?
I'm going to share something that I found out, guys. Something I found out, and this is from I can't say who it's from. It's a high-ranking official at Arizona, a very high-ranking official inside the program. They're not coming to the Big 12. They have no interest in it. Good. They want to stay in the Pac, and guess what? They have the same chancellors as Arizona State. It's the same people. If Arizona will come, Arizona State ain't coming. So that's what I was told, and that's from somebody that really knows this program, and I mean, really knows.
Joey, when did you hear that?
I heard that night before last.
Okay.
I actually got a phone call. And was told that. So
Wow.
because I had
So-
been inquiring about it. About it around. And so I got a phone call. So
that's
and I
bad
don't think
news
the
for the
Big
Big
12
12 as a
will.
conference, but I don't think that fan bases of teams in the Big 12 should be freaking out. At least certain fan bases, like West Virginia. So these are the fan bases in the Big 12 that shouldn't be freaking out because they're going to be, they'll be accepted by somebody else. I think West Virginia's fine. I think Baylor's fine. Oklahoma State's fine. I think Kansas is going to be fine. I think Texas Tech is going to be fine. TCU maybe is probably fine. The fan bases that need to worry in the Big 12 would be UCF, although they might be fine. Cincinnati needs to worry because they don't have that big of a fan base. In fact, they're the smallest fan base in the new Big 12. So Cincinnati needs to worry. I think Iowa State needs to worry. I think Kansas State needs to worry. Houston, maybe, but they are in. And I've been saying that Houston is a top 5 city as far as population. They're actually top 4. They're number 4 in population. So simply because of that, they might be fine. So there are some fan bases in the Big 12 that need to worry if they don't get extra teams. But really, the vast majority of fan bases in the Big 12, you're going to be fine, even if you don't exist in the Big 12.
Yeah. Well, I think Jeff made an interesting point. But, Jeff, I would say I wonder if the SEC would be so motivated to then start rating the Big 12, because we know they want Clemson and they want Florida State. Would they really feel desperate enough to just start grabbing teams, or would they just sit back and see what happens?
Well, the problem is we wouldn't be just grabbing teams because 2 of the teams I mentioned are coming to the SEC eventually. Oklahoma State and West Virginia will come to the SEC. Even if we raid the ACC and we go to 24 teams, those 2 teams are going to be locked into the SEC.
Okay.
What we will get desperate about is it's an arms race. And in an arms race, you do desperate things. And if the Big Ten goes to 20, then the SEC has to go to 20. And so once we take West Virginia and Oklahoma State, then it comes who's the next 2 teams.
So what you said there too, but also go back to the point I made. It's an arms race. So Arizona State not coming to the Big 12. That's right now. Who knows what happens a week from now? This stuff changes so much. So they might have to be like, look, we've got to do something because Washington and Oregon are leaving, and that's going to be the end of the Big Pac-12. So I guess minds can change, but for right now they're saying no, they're not coming. So,
well, can I say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to say I will admit that I was wrong on what constitutes a blue blood. After the show yesterday, I went and looked at it, and I now understand that I was wrong. And I admit, there are no blue bloods in the state of Florida. Okay.
which
is weird when you think about it. It really is weird because most people do think. I think the term powerhouse needs to be used because you can say that Florida State, Florida, and Miami are powerhouses, even if they are down right now. But blue blood is a totally, totally different thing.
I was just wrong.
And nobody can be added to it now. Like, it's done. Blue bloods are said. Nobody can be added. That's the weird thing. I'm like, what constitutes a blue blood? Well, what constitutes is, well, for one thing, you already have to be a blue blood or it's not going to happen. Let me get to these super chats real quick. Thank you, Vanity Rose, for the $5 donation. Says, going to blue, it sounds good to just draft Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah, but without a contract. With guaranteed numbers, all you can do is give false hope. I understand what you're saying, but I just don't ever see that happening. I think everything is going to be done, through contracts, and like teams are going to want guarantees, like that, and that's what we're looking at right now, especially right now. Maybe I don't know, 10, 15 years ago that would have been more acceptable, but right now teams are not going to go for that. Hillbilly Skeptic, thank you for the $2 donation. Says, will there be a bidding war for Miami? That is a great, great question, because Miami does bring some value, but if the SEC gets Florida State, I mean, they don't need Miami, and Miami does have. They either have AAU status or they're getting really close. So I think they would be fine in the Big Ten. Could there be a bidding war? I guess so. But if the SEC brings in Florida State, I see Miami going to the Big Ten.
Well, that's all
That's
I
just
wanted
my
to
opinion.
say. I'm gonna sit back and enjoy
Hey,
the
True
show.
Seminole. True Seminole. Hey, True Seminole. You know what it
What's
was,
up?
man? It's just passion. It's just passion. That's all it is. I wouldn't
Yeah.
worry about it.
No,
man. That's all. It's just
yeah,
passion.
without a doubt, I'm passionate. I didn't know what constitute a blue blood program, and now I do. You know,
Hey,
I'm
True
young.
Seminole.
I have room to learn.
True Seminole. If we would have started the Blue Bloods in the late 70s, early 80s, Miami and Florida State definitely are Blue Bloods.
Yeah.
It
100%.
just started,
Yeah,
it just
I agree
started
with
too early for you.
All right, guys. I'm gonna sit back and enjoy this great show.
All right, but appreciate it. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah. And just to add to that, I think anybody that could get FSU in their conference would be happy.
Yes.
Honestly, and ACC
Yeah,
would
without
not
a
be
doubt.
happy. Yeah. That's
And
for
you know, a lot
What's up,
of
J-Dub?
people take shots at West Virginia because the one thing that they look at is number one, 0 national championships. Which, if you look at a lot of good brands, there's a lot of good brands that don't have any national championships, right? And then you look at the population of the state of West Virginia at 1.8 million. That's not a lot, but West Virginia is number 13 in the nation whenever it comes to the percentage of their fan base living outside of the state. Because West Virginia, most people, they grow up in West Virginia, but they find better jobs outside of the state of West Virginia. That's why you see huge pockets of West Virginia alumni outside of the state of West Virginia. You got a massive pocket in Pittsburgh, D.C., down here in the upstate of South Carolina, Memphis. They're all over the place. So West Virginia brings back value. And the thing that really helps West Virginia is the teams that they play as well. And we're going to see that this year. We saw it last year whenever West Virginia played Virginia Tech. On that particular Saturday, West Virginia had the highest rated noon game of the day, playing Virginia Tech, a bad West Virginia team. This year, the ratings is going to be ridiculous. The backyard brawl ratings is going to be through the roof. You're not going to have any competition. It's going to be a Thursday night. 99.999% of the Pitt fan base is going to be watching. 99.999% of the West Virginia fan base is going to be watching. That is going to be a highly rated football game.
There probably won't be a comparable game until Texas A&M and Alabama.
I would agree with that 100%. And right now, even Pitt, West Virginia's backyard brawl is the number one game being bets placed on. So, I mean, people are interested in this, and it's not just the backyard brawl. It's Virginia Tech. It's Louisville. They even bring Syracuse's value up. They don't just bring in, like West Virginia goes to ACC, they wouldn't just be bringing their value. They would be bringing value from the other teams that they play. So that would be the one thing that I would worry about as far as West Virginia to the SEC. How much interest would SEC fan bases be as far as West Virginia playing their team? I haven't really gauged any type of response on that one.
If you think about it and think about a Kentucky and a Tennessee would be
South Carolina
excited about playing. Yeah.
Okay.
So Kentucky and Tennessee would be two big rivalries. That would be a big rivalry.
And
I
maybe
think South Carolina
Oklahoma and
could
Texas
be.
coming in. They already have history with West Virginia. So there's that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
John Kelly says Virginia Tech is already sold out too. So West Virginia has already sold out 2 road games for other teams. Think about that.
Hey, GBD, can I comment on that previous super chat? I think what he was talking about there was not – he was talking about like, hey, it's easy to say the Big 12 needs to go and get Arizona. Yeah, that one. Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah, like just draft them. But you have to actually negotiate, and they have to be willing. And I think that's what the comment is about.
So bring them to the table.
Right. But you were saying, hey, the Big 12 needs to be proactive, not reactive. The Big 12 has already put out the feelers that they want these schools. But I think that the Pac-12 guys actually held back and said, let's see what happens first. And now that we've seen the Big 10 numbers come in, now we might start to see a little bit more movement now that happens.
Right.
But, who knows? I mean, who could tell you? Like Joey said, this could all be different next week. And it could be the Big 12 is, like Jeff was saying, to get picked apart by SEC and,
Yep.
The Pac-12 merges with the remainders of the Big 12. Who knows? Who
You
knows?
just never know.
The other thing I heard though about the Big 12, which is a little worrisome, is, and it don't affect the football so much. And I know football drives everything, but think about this. The Big Ten is in a little trouble right now, and they just realized by losing ESPN, and they're trying to make a deal with ESPN, a small deal for basketball only. But Fox, they have the Big 12. Well, now that they took over the Big Ten 100%, they don't have the channels for basketball. And so if they take the Big 12 also, now they don't have the channels for the Big 10, and now you're going to add, 12 other schools to do basketball? They don't have the channels to do that. So Fox can't be the Big 12 saving grace as far as basketball and that. They just don't have the channels to put it on.
Gotcha. So what you were talking about the other day as far as the scheduling conflict, was it CBS that you were talking about?
Yes, they worked out the deal, actually. If you read it, and I was going to talk to you today, and I got busy, and I've been sick, but the SEC signed a contract with ESPN or CBS signed with the Big Ten to do the 2:30 game. Well,
Okay.
They already were under contract with the SEC for the 2:30 game. So what they worked out was CBS this year will only air 7 Big Ten, or next year will air 7 Big Ten games, and they will air, I want to say, 6 SEC games. And so they gave up part of the SEC to ESPN to let them run them on ABC. But
Gotcha.
there was a conflict of interest for a little while because CBS had both the Big Ten and the SEC under contract for the 2:30 slot or the 3:30 slot.
That makes sense. I got you. So it did get worked out.
It did finally get worked out.
Okay, gotcha. Guys, I'm going to mute myself just for a minute. I'm getting a little warm in here, so I'm going to bring on the fan real quick.
Now,
I'm back. I dropped myself out of the stream for just a second because I had a phone call.
Oh. Shooter, would you be happy if Baylor came to SEC?
Oh, heck yeah. I mean, we'd be back with Arkansas and, of course, UTO, UNA. It'd be fun. That'd be lively for us. Absolutely. Will the SEC take 3 teams in the state of Texas? That's the real question. I mean,
at first they really don't want more than 2 teams in a state, but now that it looks like the race is going to be to 24, the only way for the SEC to do it is we're going to have to get 3 teams in some
Hogwash.
And the real question is if the Big Ten still honors their whole AAU stigma.
Because the SEC is not going to move to the West Coast.
You're blowing smoke in the wind. There's no race to 24. There's no race to 20. They're sitting at 16 until they figure out what the playoffs do. That's 3 full seasons. 3 full seasons. Nobody's going to move off of 16 until they figure out what the playoffs are going to look like.
So the Big Ten commissioner lied today?
And the idea, he's blowing smoke. And the Big Ten, don't forget, already told Oregon and Washington to go away. And the idea that the Big 12
to go away.
They told them no. That's the same thing as going away.
No, they told them not at this point. We're waiting for Notre Dame. That's what they told them. It wasn't it wasn't go away.
And the idea that the SEC is going to reach out to Oklahoma State. Come on, man.
Who are we going to reach out to, Jeff?
They're not going to reach out to anybody in that direction. They're going to pick the bones of the ACC. That's the conference that's going to die here. You all think it's the Big 12 that's going to die. It's
So
the
who are they
ACC
going to get from the
that's going to
ACC?
get cannibalized.
So what 8 teams in the ACC will the SEC take?
They're not taking 8 teams. It's not happening.
Okay. How much would you like to bet on it that within the next 10 years
How
is
much
20?
you want to bet? Let me tell you what. Let me explain a little something to you.
All right.
Do you spend 6 hours a week on a Big 12 campus?
No.
Because I do. Do you spend time in a football operations office? Do you spend time in an SID office? because I do.
Then why didn't you tell us all this stuff was going to happen?
Did you just spend 2 hours? Did you just spend 2 hours shooting practice yesterday at a Big 12 game? No. Okay. So when somebody's talking about sources, I'll put my sources up against anybody in here's sources any time of the day.
So your Iowa State sources, who Iowa State has never won 10 games in a year, they got all the sources on the SEC. They know the ins and outs.
No, what I'm telling you, no, but what I'm telling you is,
I mean, you're on the Big 12 campus. Tell me what's going on in the SEC, big boy.
Yeah, enlighten us, man.
I can tell you what's going on in the Big 12. The Big 12 teams aren't going anywhere.
And at Iowa State,
and we figured as much.
West Virginia and Oklahoma State and confirmed that.
Well, the one thing I will say is if a Big 12 team got an offer from the SEC or the Big 10, they'd be gone in a heartbeat. I don't think
they're gone.
School that would pass on it right now.
Yeah.
And I don't think that the SEC needs to call up Oklahoma State and make an offer. I think Oklahoma State is waiting to just have the SEC look at them, and then they'll throw an application on the table in an instant. But, you know, I think the SEC will sit for a little while. I agree with that part. I don't think they're going to go do anything. Even if the Big Ten announces tomorrow that they're taking – oh, by the way, I've heard this also, that they really like Washington over Oregon. And that kind of tracks because Washington's a big market, Seattle. And you look at all the Big Ten moves, it's been about big markets. And so I think that – but anyway, if they announce tomorrow they're taking Washington and Stanford, which would be Seattle and the Bay Area, I don't know that moves the needle for the SEC to go, okay, let's make a move. I think the SEC waits. I really do.
If they only take 2, I could see it. But if they take 4, that would force the SEC to move.
Could you imagine what Washington could do with Big Ten money?
Washington would be a real power if they had Big Ten money.
They would.
This is an honest question. When you guys brought up Oregon not being the team that the Big Ten wants, don't you think the Nike money factors into that as well? The Nike money can factor into that.
Are they going to see any of that Nike money? I don't know how that works.
No, Nike. The reason it don't factor in is Nike's not going to put up $80 million a year to pay for Oregon to be in the Big Ten.
And I don't think
the guys are.
Maybe not 80 million, but they'd have to put up something.
Jeff, but the issue with that is this guy is a multi-billionaire. That's pocket change for him.
So, I know it is. But why hasn't he put, that money into Oregon right now, into other sports? I mean, I know he's.
Well, I mean, we know that he wants Oregon in the Big Ten to your point. We know he wants them in there. If it came down to you don't bring enough value, Phil Knight, throw us some money, I would think he would have already done that and we would have heard an announcement.
Well, and just to clarify, I don't think anybody's saying that the Big Ten doesn't want Oregon. I'm saying that it's not the top. It's not the top 2. I think it's in the top 4 for sure. But if it's a choice of just 2 teams, I'm hearing that Oregon is number 3, just based on the market size. That's all.
Let me get in here and say something that, when I was saying that, I had a source that let me know Arizona and Arizona State are not coming to the Big 12. They have no interest. My sources are pretty daggone good too there, Jeff Webster. I will tell you that. So the way to collapse the Pac-12, because the Pac-12 I don't feel like will collapse so long as Cal remains. If Cal gets taken out of the Pac-12, the Pac-12 will collapse. But if they take Oregon and Washington and Stanford, I think they can survive fine without Stanford for sure. But without Oregon and Washington, they'll just replace them with Fresno State and San Diego State. Maybe bring in an SMU. I don't see the Pac-12 collapsing completely. As long as, because like I say, Arizona and Arizona State are not wanting to come to the Big 12. They're wanting to stay where they are. So I don't think that
Arizona and Arizona State would stay in the Pac-12 because a huge proportion of their student body is students from Southern California. and they don't want to cut that off.
I like this super chat,
pipeline.
guys. It's from a Washington fan, Sergeant Pickles 13. Thank you for the $1.99 donation. I love it. Watch UW, meaning Washington, go without Oregon. They would lose their mind. Yes, Oregon fans would definitely lose it. You'd probably see smoking. Where's that coming from? Oh, that's from the state of Oregon. They would be super, super mad. 100% agree with that.
But the academic,
Then everybody would be rioting.
the academic ivory tower, the endowment ivory tower, the money ivory tower, the Olympic sport ivory tower of the Pac-12 is not Cal Berkeley. It is Stanford. And it's not even close in any of those standards.
Well, I think the entity and the name would just continue. I think that was the point. Is if Cal can carry the banner and just reload with lower teams, they'll keep the name.
Right.
No, this is honest.
My concern, and I can't stop from dropping an anvil on my own foot, is Stanford and Notre Dame, without necessarily making a phone call to each other, are they looking across at the table at each other, seeing if one of them will blink? Is Stanford thinking, if Notre Dame goes Big 12 or Big 10, so do we? Is Notre Dame thinking that? Or do they think, if they come in, no way I'm going in? I mean, that's what I mean. Is it one way or the other? What do you guys think? Are those two schools eyeing each other, thinking I either join them or don't join them? You know what I mean? One way or the other? They're hinging on the other school?
I think Stanford would be more apt to go to the Big Ten if Notre Dame went. I think Notre Dame is still in the predicament where we
Michigan
don't care so much about the money. It's coming to the playoffs. If you're going to tell me I can't make the playoffs, I'm joining a conference.
If any team keeps Notre Dame out, it would be Michigan, not Stanford.
Yeah. But I do think, Jeff, that Stanford is kind of eyeing Notre Dame, and the minute Notre Dame were to join, Stanford would beg to go in.
So
almost like Stanford. Almost like Stanford.
Yeah.
It's almost like, I get the feel, and there's no it's just a feeling. I have no insight, it's just a guess, just a wild guess, that Stanford is looking at Notre Dame saying, if Notre Dame goes into the Big Ten, no matter what their reason, and I agree, I think the only reason it was not going to be money, it's going to be, we can't get in the playoffs if we're not in a conference.
Right.
If I think Stanford is sitting there looking at Notre Dame saying, any excuse we have to say, look, Notre Dame joined, now we can. I think that's what Stanford's doing, but I don't think Stanford would jump first. I think
Let me ask you this question. Hold on. Let me ask you this question. Do you think, and for both sides of this argument, number one, do you think the Big Ten would go as far as, number one, inviting Notre Dame? Of course, they want Notre Dame, but in their contract, they put a clause in, hey, if you ever want to jump out, that's fine as well, to kind of make Notre Dame feel like, hey, if you don't like it, that's okay. There's not going to be any buyout. So the question is, would the Big Ten consider that? The second thing is, would Notre Dame agree to that?
Notre Dame isn't going anywhere. Notre Dame is not going to go to the Big Ten, period.
I don't think they will either.
Notre Dame will not ever go to the Big Ten. I do not see it. Michigan's in the Big Ten. As long as Michigan's in the Big Ten, Notre Dame's not joining the Big Ten. They will join the ACC.
Notre Dame joining the Big Ten is inevitable. It's inevitable, guys. The Pac-12 is mortally wounded. No LA market equals no Pac-12.
No.
What's going to happen is all those West Coast schools, Oregon, Washington, Stanford, Cal, they're going to the Big Ten. Notre Dame's going to have nobody left to play. All their rivals are going to be in the Big Ten. So they're going to the Big Ten eventually.
This is going to really sound silly. This is going to really sound silly, and it's going to sound like, how can this possibly impact? How can it possibly impact the decision to join a conference? It's going to sound silly, but I'm going to tell you, to the board of directors at Notre Dame, it's not silly. Notre Dame is Catholic, and they don't want academic and research and political and social decisions voted on by the other schools in the Big Ten that they would have to comply with that might be against Catholic teaching. Now, I know that doesn't sound like a big deal, but to Notre Dame, it's a huge deal.
Guys, I think there's enough money on the table that they can work that out. You know, like they can have some affiliation with them.
Some of the Big Ten schools, I know that Illinois does this. I believe Michigan does. And I think maybe Iowa does, but I know Illinois and Michigan do. They do a lot of fetal research and a lot of medical testing and stuff like that on fetal tissues and G cells and stem cells and things like that. And whether you agree or not, it doesn't matter. We're not arguing the argument.
Right.
That's something Notre Dame, as a Catholic institution, can't get behind. And so, I mean, there are things there, and you may think they're silly or whatever, but the point is it's not silly to Notre Dame.
Right.
And what people don't understand is they talk about money. Notre Dame has the biggest sports endowment of any team. They have more sports donations than any other team. It's not money.
They are the college football team in the world.
So listen
I would
to
agree
this.
with that. I would agree with that.
All right. Here's my point. Here's my point. Everybody's talking. So somebody said that Notre Dame wouldn't turn down that money. It's too much money. That is nothing. $100 million. Their endowment fund this year is $1.5 billion. They got $13.3 billion in endowment. $1.5 billion in endowment coming in. They don't care about $100 million.
Those endowments aren't for sports, guys. Those endowments are for academics and other stuff. Like
they do get sports endowment. They do got a sports endowment.
Sports endowment guy? I need to see a source on that.
Well, Notre Dame has come out and said flat out, if they can get upwards 70, 75 million a year payout, they're staying independent, and I think they'll get it. And as long as they get that, two things, as long as they get that, and they're still invited to the playoffs being independent, they are staying independent. I mean, that's just the bottom line.
And talking about
they'll get that with an affiliation with the Big Ten.
Stanford has a $2.5 million endowment for tennis.
Hey, I thought that the numbers just came out on Notre Dame. I think they said that they're
it was like 60 million, I think.
Yes, yeah, there you go. So
60 million from NBC.
Yeah, that's it.
60 million with Big Ten programming, though, right? So 60 million with Big Ten shoulder programming.
Yeah,
they're going to be expected to play Michigan, Michigan State, Ohio State, Stanford.
No, that's not what shoulder programming means.
We're forgetting one
thing.
I
know what it means, but there's still going to be. It's going to be a partnership.
We're forgetting one thing. We're also forgetting one thing.
They're partnered with the ACC. They're partnered with the ACC. They can't partner with the Big Ten.
Long.
Not for long. They're partnered until 2036.
Yeah, it's in the contract that if they join a conference, it has to be the ACC.
But they're not going to join one. They'll just be like loosely affiliated.
You know what?
Yeah, they're loosely affiliated with the ACC.
Yeah, they are.
You know what school we haven't mentioned the whole time? This whole time we haven't mentioned one school.
Utah,
Akron, and Kent State, and Mercer, and Georgia State, and all these schools that don't have $70 million coming in. That then you say, what the hell is Alabama doing playing Mercer?
$50 million
Why is Georgia playing Stanford? Why is such and such playing Kent State? Because those schools are going to get a $600,000 to a $1 million check, and that's going to pay for their entire athletic budget. I mean,
all right, let me go around the table and make sure everybody know who's is who, because I saw a comment from Salt of the Earth. He doesn't know who's is who. Of course, me, Golden Blue, I'm in the upper left. Joey is right beside me to my right. Jeff Grimm is on the upper right corner. Then we have TND right below me, and then right beside him is JW, and then on the far right in the middle is Shooter. Bottom left is Tony, and bottom right is it Bizarre? Is that how I say your name? Or Bizer. Okay, Bizer.
Nice to meet you guys.
And guys, I want to bring up something we're forgetting to mention with Notre Dame as well. That if they want. NBC, where they're partnered up with, might be able to get the contract for the Big Ten network if they're able to do that. You guys think that can happen, like from ESPN, because ESPN actually owns the Big Ten network's rights and stuff like that? Can they? Does NBC actually have enough
ESPN
money
does not
to
own Big Ten network rights. That's Fox.
Yeah, ESPN don't own. Yeah.
Yeah,
They
started
do
Big
have
Ten
rights to
network
some
because of
games, but they're
ESPN.
giving that up in 2023 as of right now. That could change, and they get a small slice and be able to put on a few games. But as of right now, number one, Fox has the Big Ten network. Number two, ESPN doesn't have any slice of the Big Ten starting in 2023 as of right now.
No, that's what I meant to say. Fox. Could NBC go to Fox and negotiate where they can get the whole full rights to the Big Ten network, and that can actually entice Notre Dame to do more and stuff like that to come to the conference?
I don't know why would Fox ever give that up? It's like they have all the premium games.
Yeah,
NBC
I mean,
doesn't have
in theory
enough
they
time to show
could, but I don't see that happening at all.
And NBC don't have the channels to do it. I mean, they don't want that headache.
Yeah,
I just don't think, and I could be wrong. I could be eating crow in here any day, and I just don't think that there's enough money out there unless it's, so insane that all of our heads explode. Money is not going to put Notre Dame in the Big Ten.
Yep, agreed.
You guys don't think any smart run conference is going to allow Notre Dame to double dip, is what you're saying, JU? You don't think any really smart run conference would allow them to do that, is what you're saying?
Here's my question.
Having a contract with NBC, then join their conference and get money on top of that.
Rooney, you're having really bad issues with your audio.
Can I answer that question, though? Do you think Ohio State and Michigan would put up with it? Do you think Alabama, Georgia is going to say, oh, yeah, we're going to let this team come into our conference who hasn't won a championship since '88, but we're going to give them more money?
That's the same argument with Texas and Oklahoma. These big-time brands, a few of them are blue bloods, don't have the power that they once had, especially going into a new conference. And that conference isn't going to, here's some power, all yours. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, what happened to the Longhorn Network? When they wanted to go to the SEC, we told them, we ain't bringing that, I mean, Texas is a blue blood, but yeah.
Well, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? The Big Ten is divided up amongst three conferences or three networks, right? Three different directions their games are going.
Yep.
Is this a hopeful sign for the future? Is this a hopeful sign that I hate to use the dirty word, the NFL, but we have the playoffs and the Super Bowl on a rotating, it rotates through the network so that not one of them can control it. Is this a hopeful sign that that's where we're going in the playoffs, where ESPN doesn't have Lord God power over the playoffs, that all the networks have a little taste in it?
Yes, I think it could be, but there's two sides to this. There's that side, which is the good side, and then there's the bad side where college football could turn into a product that resembles the NFL, and that's what we don't want. We want the good side. What you just mentioned is what we want. We don't want the bad side.
Well, I agree. The bad side to me, GBD, would be now that all the networks have a say, they all want their teams in it, and all of a sudden we get a 12-team playoff or whatever. I don't want to see us get off 4. And if we do go off 4, I hope to God 8 is the limit.
We're going to 12. We're going to go to 12-game playoffs. ESPN's going to be cut out. It's going to be networks.
You know what we need to do?
ABC or
I know
NBC.
12 implies a bye. And I don't
they
think
won't do a bye.
Yeah,
they won't do a bye. It's too much of an unfair advantage.
We kind of touched on this yesterday as far as the playoffs. So we don't want to be like the NFL, but there's a few things that the NFL does that I do like. Number one, the playoffs. We have got to find a better way of deciding our playoffs by people saying, I think this team is better. I think this team, there's got to be a better way of, deciding who actually should be in the playoffs. The human element is what gets on my nerves the most. I don't know if that's possible to completely get rid of the human element, but I had an idea yesterday that I'm going to bring up again and see what y'all think about it. So yesterday, to bring up the importance of conference championships for one thing, and bring up the importance of bowls again. So the top, I guess, 8 bowls is for a play-in spot for the playoffs. So number one, these bowls are tied into conferences and conference championships. Okay. And in order to get to the playoffs, you got to win that bowl. So technically, you're not really adding a game except for the bowl itself. And you could expand to 8. And then the winner of those big bowls get into the playoffs. And seeding is decided by record.
But then you're going to have a 12-game regular season, a 1-game conference championship. Then you're going to send 18 or 16 teams to bowl games, and those 8 winners are going to go into an 8-team playoff. So you're actually adding 2 more games.
Well, whenever I said not adding games, well, counting the playoffs, you're automatically adding games. I was talking on top of that. 1 more game, the bowls.
But the question is, who decides who goes to the 8 games? The 8 bowl games would be Mike, or the 16 teams.
Because of, well, if you look at the bowl tie-ins, you're looking at conference affiliations and champions of those conferences, and then runner-ups behind that.
I think if you went to 8 teams, that would be great. But if you do that, you've got to have every conference agree to put their 2 best teams
Division's gone
in their championship game, not have these division, lopsided affairs.
Right.
But have the 2 best teams in there. Then you can do an auto bid in that scenario, and then 8 teams works. But with the conference realignment the way it is, I mean, I don't know about auto bids anymore because you're going to end up with a Sun Belt champion, and that's going to be a hot mess. So
yeah, if none of the conferences go defunct at the end of all of this, that'd be 10 conferences for 8 bids.
Well,
I'm talking about Power 5 champions and runner-up.
As far as I know, there's no 18 playoff system on the table. It's 12 and 16, and they're looking really hard at the 16 team.
Oh no, I was saying 8. Sorry.
So how about
I would go with 8 with the bowl
10 auto bids and then 2 of those at-large runner-up bids.
Right.
So you have conference champions from all conferences, and then I guess Notre Dame or like some other 9th and 11th or 12th place team.
Oh, by the way, I just got some breaking news. This is for West Virginia fans, but this tells you how bad of a quarterback we had last year and how much we got out of him. So Jarrett Daggy was our starting quarterback for last year, and he actually had decent numbers. A lot of complaints, very up and down. Couldn't read the field very well, but he had decent numbers. So he transferred to Western Kentucky. Okay, couldn't win the job over there. And Western Kentucky does have a good quarterback, but they are a group of 5. So he knew he was not going to win that job. So he has transferred again, and now he's at Troy. How ironic is that?
What, Troy?
That's where Neil Brown came from too. How ironic is that?
Wow.
Troy,
so last year's starting quarterback could be the starting quarterback for Troy this year. That's the great quarterback that we had last year. And there's a lot of hold on. I actually got a text earlier talking about that. Give me 1 second here. So ESPN college football analyst Greg McElroy thinks that West Virginia is going to be a really dangerous team. West Virginia is starting to get notice right now. I know Greg McElroy.
West Virginia finally has a good quarterback again.
Exactly. The defense has been consistent, and it has kept us in games that we should not have been in. But averaging 25 points per game, that's ridiculous. And so we finally got an offensive coordinator this year, and we have JT Daniels leading the way. And people are saying that even the backup, Will Crowder, better than Jarrett Daggy, but it took an offensive coordinator to see that. So he didn't even get a shot last year. He was on the roster, but he didn't get a shot because we didn't have an offensive coordinator that could recognize quarterback potential. I'm telling you, West Virginia is going to creep up on some people this year, and they're starting to grab some eyeballs.
So what was your record last year if they would have changed quarterbacks?
If they would have changed quarterbacks, I think, well, it actually depends on one game. the reason we went 6-6 was because of that Oklahoma game. If we would have pulled off that upset, we don't lose to Texas Tech the next week, and so you're looking at 8-4 at minimum. So if we would have switched quarterbacks, I would say at least 8-4.
See?
Yep. Definitely. This guy right here, I look forward to meeting him. Thank you, Fester, for the $10 donation. Says, sorry, going to Blue Dude. I haven't been in the live streams. No problem. Life happens. Just work has been kicking my behind, but still been keeping up with the replays. That's what I'm – and that's why I encourage people, even whenever the show goes off, to hit the like button. That way it gets suggested more. It does get replayed. So hitting the like button, very, very important. We do appreciate you, Fester. But yeah, that tells you how bad of a quarterback situation West Virginia was in last year. It was bad, really, really bad. Anyways, all right, back to conference realignment talk. And what sparked up today's debate was the Big Ten finally signing that TV deal, which we all expected. But then Kevin Warren saying the Big Ten is not done expanding. So he said it flat out. The Big Ten is not done expanding. So now we're trying to figure out who's going where. They kind of hinted at Washington, Oregon, Cal, and Stanford being evaluated for future spots. I will say this. If Oregon, Washington, Stanford, or Cal, all four, or a combination of two, whatever, three, whatever, if they do get invited to the Big Ten, they're not going to get full shares because they don't bring in a full shares worth of revenue. So the teams that are already in that don't do that, like your Northwesterns, Rutgers, Maryland, they're lucky because they don't bring that in football, but they're already in, so they're going to get it. These new teams, they have to meet that threshold if they want to get that share. And none of those teams, as great of brands as they are, they don't hit that threshold. So
and they might eventually, though, when Rutgers and all those teams started.
If they join, it's going to be for a partial share. Do you think that they're going to bite on that? Do you think this happens?
No.
Yeah,
no.
It does. It does. Yeah.
I just got
look at Nebraska when they first joined the Big Ten. They got partial share too, and now they're full members. It's just how it's the way the world works.
How many years was it? 4 or 5?
I don't know. But
Nebraska was like 4, I think.
Yeah, 4 years
but
to get.
Rutgers and Maryland still aren't full shares. But part of Maryland's problem is their own fault. They keep borrowing money.
Oh my God! Yeah,
they
you can't
keep
do
borrowing
that.
from the Big Ten.
Yeah.
But has anybody ever been to Maryland's football stadium? Has anybody? Show of hands. I have. It's terrible. They have not put any money into that. It is one of the worst stadiums you will ever go to. Even
all the new media money they're going to make new facilities. They're going to have a whole lot of money coming up soon. They're going to fix up all those facilities.
Yeah, but they've made money in the past. Where's that money going to for football?
I mean, not like.
Hold on one second. Hey, GBD, check your text message. I just sent you a text message. It's important.
Yeah, if you're talking about just for a few years getting a partial share, yeah. But if you're talking about for 6, 7, 8 years or the whole contract, I don't think anybody bite on that.
Here's where I think, Shooter, and tell me if I'm wrong though. Say you're Washington, Oregon, Cal, Stanford, any one of those teams, okay? Mm-hmm. Or even pretend we'll talk about Baylor, which is your team, joining the SEC. Okay, let's say the SEC was to make $100 million a year. And you're in the Big 12, and you're only going to make, what's the high they say, 40 million?
Actually, I've put higher than that, but we'll say 40. That's fine. Or
okay, let's say 50 million. Let's say 50 to split the difference. Okay, so you're at 50 million in the Big 12, and I'm at 100 million in the SEC, and we say, Baylor, if you come over for the next 6 years and we pay you 75 million a year for the next 6 years, are you coming?
I would do that for Baylor. Definitely. Yes. Just because we're a better fit in the SEC than anywhere else. But if I'm Oregon or Washington and you're going to be all that travel and you have that big inflated ego that Oregon has, I don't know, man. I mean, I can't answer for them. Baylor would do it because we get to go. It's sort of like going back home in a way. But yeah, if you're talking about such a small differential between 75 and 100, but if you're talking a half share, then you're talking, I don't know, man. I mean, it might still be worth it, but I could see. Here's what I would do. I would say, okay, half the contract that we have coming up, which is a 6-year, 7-year deal. For half of that time, you're going to get.
I'll be right back, guys.
2/3 or something. Yeah, that's different. But if you're saying 6-7 years, you're going to get half. I don't know, man. That's a tougher sell.
But what if the Big Ten goes to Oregon or Washington and says, look, we've talked to Fox, NBC, blah, 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 and we're going to get $100 million. Now, those same executives say that Oregon, you're only valued at like $60 million or $70 million, and that's what we're willing to pay you for 7 years. You don't think that they would take the 60 or 70 versus the 40 they're making now in the Pac-12 and take a chance that it disappears?
Yeah, I guess that's true, and especially with them being on shaky ground, they'd probably go for it. I mean, this is why I don't make those decisions.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the answer too. Maybe they say no, but I just find it hard to believe that a school would turn down an additional, $20 or $30 million and make half of what UCLA or USC is going to make in the Big Ten, but at least be in the conference.
Okay, but would Stanford do that? Because Stanford's a lot like Notre Dame, see? Yeah, they don't need the money.
Here's the problem with Stanford, and people don't think about this with Stanford. Stanford has all the money in the world, and they're set, and that's fine. But Stanford does care about Olympic sports. So they do have to have a conference for their Olympic sports because they've won a national championship every year since 1976, and they do not want to lose that streak. So they're going to have to find some conference for their Olympic sports. I think their football team could go independent like Notre Dame. I think they have that kind of an ego, but they have to have a conference for their Olympic sports.
I'm sure they'll find somewhere for field hockey and for women's luge and whatever the hell they have going. So, I mean, I'm not too worried about all that stuff. But
what do you think about today's news, Tim? Well, not really surprised about the Big Ten signing the deal. We expected that. But then Kevin Warren goes on to say, we're not done expanding. We're evaluating Oregon, Washington, Cal, Stanford, same names we've heard about. What was your take out of that?
I think Tony Alton. I mean, I'm a Tony Alton disciple, and I'm just sticking with what he's saying. He's basically saying that it's just follow the academics and the money. Because he's the one that turned me onto that idea. I think Stanford would absolutely jump at the chance to join schools, like USC, Michigan, and definitely to get Stanford, in there. And you have Illinois, you have great school, Northwest. I mean, I can go on and on. Northwestern. Yeah. I think they would jump at the chance to be named. I mean, Stanford is Stanford, and Jeff's right. They're in an Ivy League setting, right? But the schools I'm naming are right below that. And so to have an opportunity to share those research libraries, to share. By the way, someone spoke earlier. Do you know in the Pac-12, it's actually Washington that has the largest, according to the research that Tony did, the largest amount of research money funneling in is actually Washington, University of Washington. Wow. So, I mean, and USC is like 4th or 5th. I was shocked. I was saddened and shocked by that. So, I mean, it was like, it's amazing that Washington's that high. So I think Washington is definitely going to be walked in right away as soon as they can. I mean, it's all hinged on two things. I think that's what's going to make this thing all held up. It's going to be, as you guys have been talking about, a couple of you guys have been talking about, can Notre Dame stay independent and still have a path to the playoffs? If they can do that, then that'll be plan B. I'm sure there's a plan A and a plan B. And I honestly think that both of them include Washington. I may be wrong, but I think both of them include Washington at some point. But before they're bringing anybody in, I'm sure, why make a movie you don't have to? I think that's what you guys were also saying. It's like they're going to see what Notre Dame does. As far as what conference they're going to pick, Jeff, I put in the chat, but, Jeff, he's not here anymore. Jeff Webster, if you're still there, you do realize that the ACC and the SEC is probably doing stem cell research as well, right? So, I mean, it's not like only the Big Ten's doing stem cell research. I think also that there's going to be a number of stipulations if Notre Dame was going to join the conference that would include the sovereign right to choose, with their faith and what they want to do with their faith. So, I mean, all this stuff can be contractually fixed. And again, another person said in here, I think it was you, Jeff. You said basically that all of their rivals. I mean, look at Notre Dame's rivals. And we can run down the whole list. You start with USC, then you go to Michigan, and then you go to Stanford, Purdue to some degree. I mean, Michigan State. Sorry, I almost left Michigan State out, right? So I mean,
Michigan State.
every single one of their rivals is in the Big Ten. Who are their rivals in the ACC? Do you know what I mean? I mean, you have the slight rivalry with Miami, maybe a little bit, and
Boston College.
And Boston College. But BC is not. Where would you put the Boston College? I know they're both Catholic schools, but where would you put that in the pantheon of their rivals? It's probably pretty far down.
Probably 8 or 9, maybe 10.
So I mean,
can you guys hear me better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys.
It's like a bullhorn now.
You can turn it down, GBD. You have that.
Okay. Is it better? Audio. Am I too loud?
Yeah, it's a little loud.
Okay. No, but what I want to ask you guys is, this is in terms of the SEC. I'm not sure if this was BS or if it was actually true that the bigger brands in the SEC like Florida, Georgia, Alabama, even Texas or Oklahoma didn't want Miami in the conference if they were going to expand anymore, which is probably not happening anymore because of the recruiting aspect. They didn't want to be pushed out of South Florida with Miami maybe on the come up now the next 2 or 3 years. Was that just BS or do you guys think that was actually true?
Here's the deal with the SEC, and I can find the article on it. The SEC made a pact 30 years ago. Florida, Georgia, Kentucky made a pact, and then when South Carolina came in, they joined the pact too, that those 4 schools would block any school in their state from joining. And so that would stop Florida State, Miami. But now we got Oklahoma and Texas, so the numbers change. So instead of 4 teams blocking, now you need 5 teams. They had Texas A&M on board, but after we screwed Texas A&M by letting Texas in, they're not going to act. So I do know for a fact that Georgia, Florida, and Auburn have a problem with Miami.
Yeah. I think Florida State is going to get in. Miami, I think Miami's fine either way, though. I think if Miami doesn't get into the SEC, then they're probably, I mean, nothing's for sure, but I think they have a good chance of getting into the Big Ten.
Yeah.
They have great academics. And what y'all were speaking about earlier, man, that makes me believe that Cal is a higher commodity than people realize because they have, a lot of that research money. And, you were talking about how they share resources and stuff. Cal has a lot of those resources that the Big Ten wants besides football. A lot of people like to focus on football, and that's, what we like to talk about because that's what we are. But as far as all the other, boxes that needs to be checked, not only does Cal check them, they check them emphatically.
But the problem is
the issue with Miami, though, guys. I'm not sure if you guys agree with the issue with the Miami in terms of the research. The major research that they do is marine biology, and I don't think that's really big in the Big Ten in terms of the research. In terms of research and stuff like that, Miami's big into marine biology and like certain types of medical research.
Well, if they're adding USC, USC is big in the medical. USC is into medical as well as marine biology stuff, as well as the University of Washington. So if they're adding those schools, then yeah, you are looking at schools. And besides, the Great Lakes aren't oceans, but they are huge with the marine life. So I'm sure there's also a lot of research going on up there as well, Northwestern, Michigan, etc. So I think that there's a lot of everything there. And besides, if Miami they'll have their choice. Like I think Jeff said, they're gonna have their choice. It's either gonna be the SEC or the Big Ten. Either conference is gonna take Miami. And if not, if you think that Oregon has a big donor right up there with Phil Knight, Miami has traveling fools, and that guy's got deeper pockets than any of those guys.
Ruiz is looking to build a stadium all by himself.
Oh yeah, definitely. Let me go around the room. Since those 4 teams, Washington, Oregon, Cal, and Stanford are being mentioned, and the whole, we're not expanding, whatever. So what I want to do is I want to go to everybody. How would y'all list as far as order of importance from those teams going to the Big Ten as far as being important to the Big Ten? We'll start with Joey, and then we'll go to Jeff, and then Tim, and then TND, Shooter, and then Tony. So first, Joey, how would you rank them from 1 to 4, order order of importance as far as the Big Ten wanting them.
Okay, I'm sorry, GBD. I was away. I'm getting text message. I'm getting text messages. What were you saying again? Rank
Order of
who? The
importance.
Pac-12.
Yeah, order of importance. There's four
Pac-12.
teams: Washington, Oregon, Cal, Stanford. Order of importance as it relates to the Big Ten wanting them.
I think most important would be Washington, just because of the television market. I think number 2 would be probably Cal, just to sew up the rest of Southern Cal down that area. I think number 3 would be Oregon, and number 4 would be Stanford. I don't think Stanford moves the needle a lot, so I don't believe they're going to be at the top of the list. I think it's going to be Washington and Cal, definitely, and then Oregon. So that would be my order of importance.
Very good. Jeff?
Well, if the California regions have anything to say, Cal would be of great importance. But I think for the Big Ten, I think it's Washington, Stanford, Oregon, and then Cal.
Okay. What about you, Tim?
Again, I'm a Altamorian. I'm a Tony Altamore Branch Davidian of Tony. I'm gonna go with what he always says, and it makes sense. He says it's gonna be Washington, Stanford, and then Oregon, and then Cal.
Okay.
So, I mean, I get your point on Cal. I mean, I don't know if we're talking academics, Cal's right up there. So
Right.
it's a hard pick, but
and shared resources too. That's something that I thought about. Shared resources kind of bumped up their value in my head.
If I remember right, I think Tony kind of put it in that order.
Well, Tony just popped up in the chat, so he'll correct you if you're wrong.
I'm sure he will.
TND, how would you list them in order of importance to the Big Ten?
Yeah, honestly, I'm with Tony and Tim on this one. I think Washington and Stanford are the highest priority, and then Oregon and Cal. I think since the Big Ten will already have UCLA, that Cal will be it'll be lovely a secondary target. But I do have Washington and Stanford up there.
That's fair. What about you, Shooter?
Yeah, I said it earlier, but I totally agree. Yeah, I think Washington's number 1, just because of the market, the academics, and everything else. I think Stanford's number 2. And on Stanford, I think Stanford would, probably get beat up a lot in football, but they probably wouldn't care so much. So everybody needs another Northwestern. And then I think number 3 would be Oregon because of the brand and the competitive, and it's a whole other state. And then number 4 is Cal. You double up on the Bay Area. So I agree with you guys.
Tony, how would you rank them?
I have it differently from you guys, and here's why. Honestly, for me, the top 2 are the same and stuff like that, or Washington and Stanford, but I have Cal before Oregon. Actually.
Okay, that's fair. So a few of y'all did value Cal a lot more than the others. Actually, most have Cal at the bottom. Here's how I would rank him. I think Washington is the clear number 1. I think we can all agree that Washington's number 1. I think to balance that out, number 2 could be Stanford or Cal. I'm going to go with Stanford because they do have a better football brand, and that could be, the thing that balances one way or another. Everything else being equal, football, you got to go with Stanford. I do think that Oregon is actually. Hold on, I'm going to mute you, Tony. Your mic is going nuts. I do think that Oregon is in danger of being last. I know that sounds nuts. It sounds crazy. They're backed by Nike, right? They're a lot of people would consider them a national brand. I don't know. I have trouble with that. I know they've made them a name for themselves in football, but maybe Washington going helps them some too, because Washington would want Oregon to come with them, I think, to some degree. So I would go Washington, Stanford, Oregon, although I almost put them last, and then Cal last. But you never know how they're thinking. You never know.
Here's the reason why I have Oregon last. It's because they don't have a big TV market. Eugene is not very big. Eugene is not a big, unless you include Portland. Eugene.
Your mic is not working, buddy. Your mic is not working.
Can you guys hear me now?
It's breaking up.
Hello?
It's breaking up. I think you have bad service or something.
Oh,
okay. Can I ask you guys a question?
Go ahead.
If each of you guys were Miami and the SEC came calling and the Big Ten, where do you go?
SEC. I mean, just
I would
travel.
say SEC. Get over your hurt feelings. Oh, they didn't consider us first. SEC is the best fit. You got to go SEC.
That's what I would do.
Yep.
Because otherwise, you're going to be the only team in Florida. You're going to be the only team south of what, Indiana or Ohio?
Yeah.
You're going to be out in the middle of nowhere. Hey, West Virginia, how's that feel?
Yeah, exactly. It's not great. I mean, you can count USC and UCLA, but they're on the West Coast. So I mean, it's like.
What do you think, Tony?
Away from everybody.
What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, that's a hard one because again, if you have like rivals, they're going to be going. There will be an SEC, and regionally you would be SEC. But I'm trying to think there would be an advantage to being a Big Ten school in Florida. But what they're saying, the travel is going to be they're looking at what USC is looking at if they're down there by them. But see, Miami is far, but I mean it's not that incredibly far to go to the Midwest. I would say that all the scenarios we're talking about is USC picking up these schools on the West Coast to make the travel a little easier, but they would be traveling everywhere. What would be their closest opponent? Maryland, maybe.
Maryland.
Maybe Ohio State. Maybe Ohio State.
Because you have Maryland and you are going to have Rutgers on the East Coast. So I mean that's not incredible travel. And then you look Ohio State, and so I mean it's not like it's incredibly out of the question. I don't know. I really never thought about that, to be honest with you. Given the choice, I think that they're going to pick. Now again, depends what the president wants at the university as well. Do they want to make that move? Because no offense, SEC. I think it's pretty clear if it's going to be academics, which one they're going to want to go to.
Right.
So it really comes down to that's what I mean. I think they're in a catbird seat, right? I think they get to pick. I think both. Once it starts blowing up, they will be one of the schools that are courted, and then they're going to be able to weigh up which one they want to go to.
Not as much as
I think they would go to the Big Ten, and I would go to the Big Ten if I was Miami for 3 reasons. 1, it's better academics. We all agree with that.
Yeah.
2, you're going to be an SEC team. You're going to be built like an SEC team playing in the Big Ten. And the only other team in the Big Ten with the talent that you're going to have is going to be USC and Ohio State. Nobody else is going to have the same talent that Miami has. So it's going to be a lot easier. And the third thing that'll make it a little easier is you're Miami with a great airport. So traveling to Des Moines, traveling to, is not going to be that big of an issue. It's not like you're Tuscaloosa with a small airport and blah, blah, blah. You see what I'm saying? But I think they would have an advantage going to the Big Ten, playing in the Big Ten, than they would with the SEC. I think the SEC would be a harder competition for them, and I think they would go to the Big Ten because of academic prestige. And they are trying to get AAU, so why waste AAU in the SEC?
Yeah. I mean, that's really what I said. I mean, if it came down to it, I think culturally they might fit a little bit better. I don't even know. I mean, Miami's a different animal. Miami's way down there in South Florida. It's not really like a lot of the SEC, to be honest. They might, stick out. It's not like they're going to fit like I see, Tallahassee and Florida State fitting in very well with the culture, But I mean, does Miami's culture fit in? Does it? I'm not sure. And by the way, Jeff, I think that Miami would actually have better talent than Ohio State. Ohio State's going into Florida, going into Texas. And I mean, if I were an Ohio State fan, I would be worrying about all this mergering stuff, because are you going to be able to recruit like you used to? Who knows?
Yeah. I've thought about this when asked about Baylor, like if we had this crazy opportunity to go to either the Big Ten or the SEC, and I always choose the SEC, but that's because I went to Baylor when we were part of the Southwest Conference. And one of the most fun things about that was that we could drive to almost every game. The only one that was a heck of a drive was Arkansas. And, but everything else was and Lubbock is just hard to drive because you get there and, oh, crap, you're in Lubbock. But other than that, I miss those days. And those days are gone forever. I know. But, if we joined the Big Ten, we'd be in a similar situation in Miami, where the closest thing we would have would be Nebraska. And that's a heck of a long drive. I was there also when we joined the Big 12, and I did try to do some of those road trips. And, it was fun still, but dang, it was a long drive.
Well, I saw a comment in the chat, and I've talked about this briefly in the past. And what I'm about to talk about is not going to happen, okay? But it's doable, possible, and it's fun to think about, all right? And that is the possibility of Texas A&M being so mad that Texas is coming into the SEC that they actually jump to the Big Ten. Now, if that were to happen, it would have to happen in the next year and a half whenever that window opens. Now, I don't think it's going to happen, but if it were, how good of a fit would Texas A&M be in the Big Ten?
Not at all. I don't see them fitting culturally in the Big Ten.
I don't either.
I mean, they get the money that some of the Big Ten schools have, but culturally, they don't fit.
No, I've actually heard people say, what if the Big Ten is actually trying to get UT to flip before they join the SEC to go to the Big Ten instead? And I think that is actually more realistic because UT is as crazy as can be. And they would actually probably fit better in the Big Ten. And then A&M would be super happy. And they would stay, even if they were offered. They would stay in the SEC just to get away from UT again.
Yeah. It's almost as bad as Michigan and Notre Dame hatred. Almost as bad as that.
If the Big Ten if they were able to get Texas and USC, it would have been lights out. Sorry, Jeff.
Hold on. I said before, let me be clear because I think the chat misunderstood me. Texas A&M is not going to the Big Ten. I did not say that. We were talking about teams fitting in different conferences. I'm saying if that did happen, I was asking the panel, in their opinion, how good of a fit did they think Texas A&M would be in the Big Ten? It's not happening. They're not going. I'm just trying to see if they would fit.
I do believe, though, that if Texas and USC went to the Big Ten, the SEC's only chance would have been to get Notre Dame and Oklahoma. We wouldn't have had to get Notre Dame to make it, even close. I believe that.
And Clemson.
But now, Jeff, do you think that we're talking about all those, and you're really, again, you're a branch Tonidian like I am. Do you ever see Notre Dame join the SEC?
No. We just don't. They don't fit culturally. I mean, it's different. I mean, I think the SEC, we do have a little bit more religion than some of your Midwest schools. Religion is important, but I don't think that Notre Dame wants to be associated academically with Alabama, Mississippi. I mean, that's not a good look.
I would agree. And
I'm trying to understand that argument. I don't think the SEC has bad academics. They're not elite like the Big Ten or the Pac-12, but I would say because I looked at the academic standings for whenever I was going through it yesterday, and the SEC, oh man, our guy's back. We thought something, man. I'm relieved. I'm relieved to see judicial protest. I was worried that he got sick or something.
Wow.
But I have to read that before I put on there. There we go. Yeah. I have to screen his comments sometimes before I put it on the screen.
The JUCO USC jokes.
Yeah. Judicial protest. Welcome back, buddy. Thank you for the $5 donation. Says Big Ten would have got a $9 billion deal if it had not watered the conference down with a JUCO directional school like USC.
Oh man,
$9 billion deal.
Wow.
Well, it does actually flex up to $10 billion.
Talking about academics, since Tim brags about his school being such a power in research, Alabama's just under $100 million a year in research. We're that powerhouse school raking in all that money.
I think the problem with Notre Dame and the SEC is that Notre Dame's always been a Midwest school that goes and plays on the coasts. But the one place they just really haven't played much because it just doesn't fit them is in the South. And, they'll go to Florida, they'll go to Miami, But that's just the SEC. Just for me, I look at it as a cultural thing, not academic.
Right.
Notre Dame and the SEC just fits like bacon at a Jewish wedding. It's just not fair.
Or like Brian Kelly at LSU, right?
Yeah. Although his southern accent is starting to get better.
It is.
There's a reason that Notre Dame.
His accent is.
There's a reason Notre Dame tied itself.
I'm sure.
There's a reason Notre Dame tied itself with the ACC, and that's because they don't fit in the Big Ten. They fit in the Big Ten, but they're not going to go there because of Michigan,
right?
And they don't fit in with the SEC, so they tied themselves to the ACC, and they're fine with it. Here's what I think, guys. I think that there might be a chance that should Notre Dame decide to join the ACC full time, let's just say they decide to do it. What would be the possibility that Miami and Florida State and all these teams stay in the ACC and don't go to the SEC just because Notre Dame will bring some money up for them?
Honestly, and they're talking about renegotiating that TV deal. If they do that and they bring the value up, I honestly think that those teams do stay because I'm telling you, those fan bases love being in the ACC. They just don't like the money. So if they can renegotiate and get them paid, $60-70 million a year, then they're staying. Let me get to these other super chats. Hold on, let me get to these other super chats real quick. Hillbilly Skeptic, thank you for the $2 donation. Says the Notre Dame brand would plummet in the SEC 31s every year.
3 losses.
3 losses. Okay, there you go. 3 losses. Nice. Yeah, that looked like a 31. Good call, Jeff. Sergeant Pickles 13, thank you for the $1.99 donation. Says I will spend $2 just to force him to pay Golden Bluetooth again. Hey, I appreciate that as well. That's a good super chat right there. Go ahead, Jeff. What were you saying?
Now you're talking about, and this is the thing that I don't get. Everybody says, well, let's get Notre Dame because they're going to kill in a TV contract. Well, Notre Dame is already in the ACC for what, 5 games a year?
Yeah, 5.
Right.
Okay, so that's almost half a season. Now, Notre Dame is only receiving $60 million for their 7 home games. So the rest of their games is only worth $70 million. So how did them joining the ACC take the ACC from $35 million a year to every team getting, you know what I'm saying? Notre Dame's not going to raise it that much.
Well,
they're not going to save the ACC.
They would have to get those home games from NBC.
They would probably bring somebody with them too, though.
Right.
No, I know, but Jerry, you're looking at watering it down. I mean, if they were able to, you know what I mean, Joey? The aggregate of all those teams bringing in a big revenue producer like Notre Dame, well, that's just going to lower what Notre Dame could have got even on the free market by themselves. Yep. So one, financially, why would Notre Dame do that? 2, them coming in is not going to bring it up to every school in the ACC is going to get $70 million. That's not going to happen.
And think about it. If each school right now is only, let's say, getting $40 million, that's 14 teams. So that means Notre Dame has to be worth $70 million plus 14 teams times 30. That's how much, that's not enough to bring everybody up there. To raise everybody just $10 million would make $50 million. That means Notre Dame has to be worth $50 million plus the $140 million for the other teams to go.
He's laid off you, Tim. He's taking a shot at me. Judicial protest with the $2 donation. WVU Tech to the ACC. Done deal.
Hey, we're both directional schools, right? So I mean, he's staying on that. He's staying on that motif. Hey, by the way, Jeff, Tony said, "Stop doing math. Fans don't like that hocus pocus reality. You're bringing in these parts."
Okay, let me say something. Let me say something. Y'all are talking about that Notre Dame wouldn't bring the revenue up to the $70 million, but you're looking at it from a $36 million standpoint as it is right now.
The current deal.
You got to realize if they rewrite that deal right now, them teams would be getting close to $60 million apiece without Notre Dame.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Those teams would be getting about $60 million.
You think that much, though, Joey? You think that much?
Yeah,
close to $60
I think
million?
so. With Miami,
that's why the ACC complains about the money, because John Swofford, this contract is trash, complete trash. ESPN is getting pennies on the dollars for these teams on this current contract.
But think about it. The SEC right now is only making $55 million a team. So you think the ACC is worth?
Yeah, but that's a
more?
historic deal. That's a historic deal.
What's a historic deal?
Well,
From the past.
it's
The
the
deal
old-
you're talking about is from the past, right?
The SEC right now is making $55 million a year. That's what we made last year.
Right, but that's from an old deal that's about to expire.
Right.
We're talking about in the future. That's
Okay,
going to
but
get bumped. You got to compare it to what the SEC's about to make.
Okay, but the Big Ten in the first year of the new deal is only going to make $72 million
Okay.
in the first year, and so you're saying that the ACC right now is worth $60 million?
Yes.
Do you think they're worth $12 million less than the Big Ten with USC and UCLA?
You really got to look at all the matchups in the ACC because there's a lot of games that are just duds. They're not going to draw the eyes. I mean, it's unfortunate.
I will admit that there's certain teams in the ACC that wouldn't be worth that, but there's also certain teams in the Big Ten that's not going to be worth the money that they're getting.
Well, this could change fast too. If you have Clemson and Miami, let's say I do believe Miami is going to be back in the next 2 to 3 years. So if you have a strong Miami, a strong Clemson, you bring in a Notre Dame, I think maybe you might get close to that 60, maybe, but it's still going to be a peg down. So then, my follow-up question again is why would Miami or Notre Dame stick with that kind of a thing when they know they can go to a Big Ten or an SEC and make? And I do feel, I could be totally wrong, who knows, because college football is cyclical, but I think this is all heading in one direction, isn't it? It's all really heading in one direction.
Unfortunately.
And so, I'm not sure exactly that. Are we getting anti-Semitic comments in here? And so, so we look at one direction. If that's the case, then you're probably gonna see. You gotta look forward. I mean, I think the ACC again. I think we're looking at everything shrinking, contracting. I don't think it's gonna happen.
Should I put that on the screen? I'm trying to.
I mean, I'm Catholic, but it might offend. I don't know. It seems like I don't know. I guess Jewish studies is possibly out there.
I mean, it might be offensive, but it's not like take your stream down offensive, right?
No. Everybody's reading it anyway. Everybody's reading it anyway.
Like a low blow.
There it is. Judicial protest with the $5 donation. Here you go, Tim. Tim graduated from USC with a degree in Jewish studies.
Okay, that wasn't my major, but I think that'd be a pretty interesting major.
And it's $5.
Yeah.
That's how much the degree's worth.
That's probably one of the super chats that have made me laugh the most, to be honest with you. I'm not gonna lie, it did.
And honestly, it's one of the more mild ones.
Yeah, from him.
Yeah.
Yes, that is PG.
That is very true.
Keep them coming, Judicial. Go back in your mom's purse, take another $5, right?
If you got to take out a loan,
Taylor next.
If you need to take out a loan, I'm fine with that.
Hey Tim, after the show, I need your address so I can send you a little hat and dreidel.
Hey.
That's why I laughed so much. I knew where this was going. That was hilarious, to be honest with you.
I'm not sure where the joke is. It must be
this
right
has
over my
been
head.
This has been one of our better live shows, really. It's been some interesting subjects today to talk about. It's been fiery.
I agree.
It's been fiery at times, and
I didn't mean to fire J Dub up though.
He always gets fired up. What are you talking about? You didn't do anything.
Yeah, that's just J Dub.
Yeah, you gotta.
I missed the good stuff. Oh man.
If you give J Dub enough leash, he'll take over. Straight up, he will take over.
I had him stuttering, Tim. You missed it. You have to go back and watch it.
I love J Dub, dude. I love J Dub.
He is awesome.
Well, I mean, I don't doubt. I know he does. I mean, he clearly does have. I wouldn't doubt that he has connections at Iowa State. I wouldn't doubt it.
I think he meant to say drifter right here. Judicial protest with another $5 donation says.
No, he means grifter.
Yeah, no, he means it.
Okay. Okay, I must have read it wrong. Never seen a bigger grifter than Tim. He bounces from live stream to live stream with zero IQ text, pushing a JUCO directional school, USC. He's going to
appreciate your support.
South Carolina like
He's going to stick with that directional school thing.
Oh,
we are a directional school, Southern California.
Yeah.
Yep. Southern.
Yep.
We don't play like a directional school, but we are a directional school.
What school is judicial? What was he?
Have we figured that out yet?
I learned that he was a
did it
Notre
one.
Dame fan.
Wasn't he
Can I ask
Notre
a question?
Dame?
Who really cares?
Yeah,
I
that's
thought he
true.
said Notre Dame.
I'm
Notre
thinking
Dame?
Notre Dame though. I'm thinking
Yeah,
Notre
it was
Dame.
Notre Dame.
Yeah,
he
I think he said that he was a Notre Dame fan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see. I don't think he's a Notre Dame alum because they would write better than good old judicial. But
Oh,
He's a
that was a
Notre
nice
Dame
comeback.
dropout.
That was a nice comeback.
But he
Nice.
has watched Rudy
like-
a lot, so you know.
I like
he
what
watched Rudy 10 times, and now he's a fan.
One of the chat members says he thinks he's a Vanderbilt fan. Would that make sense?
Hey, now don't make fun
No.
of Vandy. Vandy's a smart school too.
Yeah. I don't know if that.
I
fits
like
that. Maybe.
I like what the real Hayden said. I like what the real Hayden said. He said judicial protest wakes up and chooses violence every day.
shame.
Oh man.
I think we've gone off the rails today. Woo.
That's what makes it a fun show, though. Going off the rails makes it fun.
We figured it out.
Okay, let me ask another question though to get back on sports.
Okay.
What do you guys think about the Monday meeting with the presidents wanting the college football out of the NCAA hands?
I knew it was going to happen. Sooner or later, we knew it was going to happen. It's been up in the air. It's been thrown out there for a long time. The question is, all right, so it was the board of the playoffs that met and talked about that, right? So if the playoffs do choose to do that, does that mean that the conferences that participate, do they have to operate outside of the NCAA or just in the playoffs?
Wouldn't they have?
They weren't specific about that.
I mean, it sure seems like they have to.
Yeah, I think they just take everything out of the NCAA hands.
I worry about that though, Jeff, because I mean, if you're talking about taking football out of their hands, okay. But I worry about taking everything out of their hands. I don't want to see basketball being taken out of the NCAA hands simply because Division II and Division III teams would just cease to exist. They just rely on that money too much.
Well, I agree.
And what does?
You go ahead, Jeff.
Go ahead, Shooter. Oh, what I was just going to say though is this a step in the wrong direction though? For everybody besides the Big Ten and the SEC. Because if we do break away, if they do decide to break away, does that just push the Big Ten and the SEC further away and just make the exit at that time?
Well,
my point.
Like, go ahead, Tim.
Well, I'm just thinking, and this might be boring, but here's my take. Right? What we've seen so far? Did anyone predict any of this crap? So what makes us think we know what's going to happen 4 to 5 years ago?
We don't.
You know,
We
4 to 5
definitely
years
do
ago?
not.
I don't know. You know,
If
it's
people in the chat are laying money on what we're saying, you're going to go broke.
Yeah, it's fun to do. I mean, we can all shoot it, and we can all get up logical arguments. What's all going to happen? What's going to happen? But I mean, literally a year ago, did anyone? Well, about 14 months ago, did anyone see any of this crap happening? I sure as heck did it. So
In one of my thousands of scenarios, I did, but I didn't hand pick it out of the bunch.
It's fun to do. I mean, it's good talk, but I mean, I think that when it's all said and done, we're gonna have at least 1 or 2 more whoa what moments.
I agree.
So, and that's what's gonna be fun.
And that's why
let me say
I
this.
put out so many conference realignment videos. I'm trying my hardest to cover every possible whoa moments there could be, but I'm probably gonna miss one. I probably will.
Yeah, you missed Marshall to the SEC. You didn't cover that one yet.
Yeah, I missed that one. That would be a whoa moment.
So I do want to say one thing real quick. For those that are listening on our podcast, because I will upload this episode, you need to join us on YouTube for these live shows every day. We have a blast. So come in here and see us all and tell us hi if you're on our podcast listening to this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Judicial protest with another $5 donation.
Well, let me get to Sergeant Pickles first. Let's not overlook him. Thank you for the $1.99 donation. No alums like me are real fans too, guys. Wait, non-alums are real fans too, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's me. That's me right there.
Yeah, my brother never stepped foot as a student on USC campus, but he is by far one of the best fans of USC I've ever met in my life. So, yeah, he must be an alumnus.
So Tony's name is coming out of I guess out of the fingertips of judicial protest, $5 donation. Where's Tony Altimore? This stream needs more show tunes. What's wrong with show tunes?
Hey, just on the non-alum thing, I'll say one of our most rabid fans is this guy named T-Rex, and you might have actually seen him on TV. He wears a golden skull mask and a huge golden chain. He's crazy, but he never went to Baylor. He's just been a big fan. Well, now he's actually about to get his MBA from Baylor, so he actually ended up being a non-graduate fan, and now he's going to be, he's on campus.
I'd actually like to do that because I am not an alum of West Virginia. I was born in West Virginia, but if they, if this thing gets big enough, they're like, hey, if you want to be, an actual alum, we'll pay your way. I would do it because that would be awesome. Now, my brother, he is an actual alum, but I'm not.
It's like
I'm still a fan, a die-hard fan. Y'all know me by now.
I'm actually starting this fall, taking a class online from Alabama.
Nice.
Because
Awesome.
I went to the Marines. I didn't go to college. I went to the Marine Corps, so I decided.
Maybe we'll start a trend.
Thank you, Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody makes fun of not being an alum, so I decided I'd take college classes just so that way I could be an alum.
I mean, it would be cool to be able to say that, just to be able to say that. The Real Hayden, thank you for the $5 donation, says, did you guys already discuss the contract escalators in the Big Ten media rights deal? No, we did not, actually. More room for expansion. And that's why Kevin Warren said we're not done expanding yet, because of the flex. And we haven't talked about that. Good. That's a good super chat right there. There is room. Well, but we didn't talk about why. There is room.
Right.
That's why they're saying expansion is not done, because of the contract provides for that.
Yeah.
Yes, very well said.
And I think that's the part that really is so detrimental right now, or at least people are saying it is, to the Pac-12, is the fact that they don't have to expand and dilute everybody. They can expand and add to the contract. So that's really what has a lot of Pac-12 guys going, oh, crap.
Yeah.
We would be saying that in the Big 12, but we ain't got anything they want. So we're safe.
Right.
Man.
The SEC already got anything that they would want.
Well, in the SEC right now, I heard they're in their negotiations. They're not done negotiating since Texas and Oklahoma's coming over. But they're also looking right now that if we go to 9 teams or 9 games or 10 games, how much more we would make.
I hope Tony's still in the chat. Judicial's turned his attention to Tony. Judicial protests. We appreciate your donation. Another one for $5. Tim transferred to USC from the University of Phoenix.
All right.
I hear the University of Phoenix is actually really good.
GBD,
well, I know it's really expensive. That's all I know.
Yeah.
You're going to have to pay commissions to Tim on this stream here.
Yeah. We'll work out a deal on that.
They're all for you, man. Thanks for having your show. This guy can keep this guy can keep donating all he wants. I appreciate his support of the show.
Write it off on his taxes.
Hey, I need a new microphone would be nice. I definitely need a soundboard. So maybe
2 things.
Maybe we can take care of that.
Two things I'll bring up real quick. Florida International FIU, Luke Knox, brother of Bill's tight end Dawson Knox, died at 22. So our hearts and prayers go out to the family of Luke Knox from Florida International.
Do they know what happened?
No, I haven't read it to see what happened.
Okay.
Najee Harris. Anybody see the news from Najee Harris today? He said he felt belittled. He said he felt belittled by Nick Saban. Yeah. That he felt belittled by Nick Saban.
Yeah, he actually left school for a couple weeks and nobody really knew it. And then him and Nick Saban had to talk.
I mean, but
and then he became like their all-time rushing leader or something.
Oh, somebody's actually going after judicial protest. Hold on here. David Bressler, thank you for the $5 donation. This might get real interesting, guys. Judicial protest.
Here we go.
Graduated from
South Central Louisiana State.
Thank you. I would have never known that.
Waterboy U.
With a degree in culinary to make frog cakes with Bobby Boucher's mama. We love you, Tim. Yeah, and I know that moved me. That moved me that movie probably more than any other movie, and I still wouldn't have got that. Great.
That deserves a Boomer Sooner, David. Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
My favorite Sooner fan right there.
There you go.
Yep.
Y'all witnessed
Well
the stream
done, David.
where a USC fan and an Oklahoma fan actually got along. Right
Well,
here.
Let me tell you, the majority. Listen, the majority of the morons on Twitter from USC and from Oklahoma don't represent either one of our universities. Let's just put it that way. We all know
exactly.
that.
I didn't understand what all the fuss was. I mean, coaches leave all the time. Like, it's just part of it.
But if you look online, and it's everywhere, because I'm in a lot of Southeastern Conference, and Bama fans are crybabies in Georgia. The real fans, the fans who've been fans since birth, are usually really good people. It's the bandwagoners or those who just come on lately that do most of the, destroying a fan base.
Yeah, I agree, Jeff. There's a lot of people out there that all they know is their own school, right? What Daddy told them, and that's all they care about. The fans of college football that love this sport for what it is, and warts and all, everything about it. Those are the fans that elevate the conversations, not the guys that have this echo chamber, just ridiculous moron comments. And we've all heard them, right? And I'll have some moron biased takes as well sometimes. But I like to think that I am first and foremost a college football fan. I mean, I'm a USC alum. I've watched USC football since I was a baby, right? But that's what's made me love the sport all over the place. I mean, I really have appreciation for all programs, and I think some people miss that point.
I'm the first person who will go and tell everybody, if you want to date somebody, date a Tennessee woman, because they don't expect a ring. I mean, I'm good at throwing trash talk, and I love trash talk, but I mean, deep down, college football is great. And I don't care what program, USC, I've said this all along, Tim, and Golden Blue Dude will tell you, I want the Blue Bloods all strong. I want, let's make college football great again. I don't want Alabama winning by 60 points every time and winning an easy national championship. I want to play some tough games.
Yep. I would agree with that. Everybody wants to compete at the highest level, really. And every fan base has their nuts. I mean, and it seems like Golden Blue Dude attracts a lot of them.
Now, did you guys hear Nick Saban yesterday? Nick Saban bitched to the Alabama bandwagoners, and he told them, he said, when I came to Alabama, you just wanted me to win a game. And now you're not happy when we win. You're happy when we lose a title, or you're happy that we don't win by 30 points. True Bama fans don't care if we win by 1 point or 20 points. A win is a win. You got to appreciate it, And that's the problem with certain fans. They don't appreciate the wins because they wasn't a fan when your team lost,
Exactly. And you can't label a fan base based on the crazy ones, because every fan base has them. Right. And whenever something big happens, that's when you see them the most.
Yeah.
Just on that, I will say that's one of the things I love about BYU joining the Big 12. You talk about some of the coolest fans. Those guys travel, and they are just awesome people. I mean, they came to Waco last year for our homecoming, and we beat them pretty well. But they were phenomenal people. I mean, I'm just going to say Mormons are some of the nicest people around, honestly.
I agree. I actually had a Mormon neighbor. I think it was when I was like 12, 13, something like, and they were great, like really great. Now, I will say this, just like now to the point of what we were talking about, there are some crazy BYU fans out there as well. What was the bowl game where the fans like fought each other because BYU lost? That was like 7 years ago or something like that.
Really?
Was it Memphis?
I'm trying to think. I remember.
You know the bowl I'm talking about. I just can't think of.
Yeah, I can't think of who they played, but yeah, there was a big fight after the game.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me.
Somebody must have said something about Joseph Smith. There's some lines you don't cross.
I think what happened was somebody touched a guy's third wife.
That's what it was. I got it. I nailed it. It was Memphis. And it was after the Miami Beach Bowl back in 2014. I remember that. It was players fighting with fans. That was crazy. Yeah, that was a crazy one.
Well, it was Miami, so
Yeah.
it's kind of like
Well,
Vegas.
yeah, maybe they maybe some Miami fans went in disguise as BYU fans. Who knows? Oh, I actually like this one. Well done, Judicial. Well done. Thank you for the $5 donation. Says, what did the Alabama grad say to the Pitt grad? Welcome to McDonald's. May I take your order, please?
Oh my.
I know that's a joke that's used a lot, but it still lands. I think it still lands.
You know another good joke. Do you know what you get when you put 28 Pitt cheerleaders in a room?
Uh-oh.
A full set of teeth.
Yeah. I heard a lot use that for West Virginia and Alabama. I didn't see the twist. That was a nice twist. I should have saw it, but I didn't see it. Nice. There you go. Man, this has been a great show. I always have fun, but I've had a lot of fun on this one. This was a good one. I enjoyed it. Do y'all have anything else to add?
I do want to say that tonight, if you hurry up and sign up for Patreon, Joey's doing a Patreon show tonight at 10 p.m. So hurry up and sign up so you can be a part of another great conversation.
Yeah, and we will have a special guest.
Any moderators or okay? Is it tonight?
Yeah, we will have a special guest in there tonight at 10, and that special guest will also be on this show tomorrow.
I was muted. I wanted to remind. By the way, Judicial, you should have asked Tony because Skull and Bones is at that's at Yale, not Harvard. Yale. So what are you doing at Yale if you're a Harvard alum? That's all I'm gonna say.
So that didn't land. That didn't land. But he's coming back with another one. He's coming back with another one. What do you call a good-looking gal on the University of Alabama campus? A visitor. A visitor.
Nice. Keep them coming. I love them $5 donations.
I've always heard that Southern gals are the prettiest. That's what I've always heard.
Confirmed. I can confirm.
That's my question.
I've always now there's a flip to that. The Southern gals were always the prettiest, but Southern dudes were always the dumbest. So there was always two sides to that. I'm not saying it's true.
Well, I did join the Marine Corps and got shot at, so maybe I am dumb. But
Jeff, I had a question for you, Jeff. You said that the first year, I believe you said that the first year of the Big Ten contract is going to be $72 million. What happened to the $100 million they were talking about? So it's way down from what they said.
Well, see, that's what I kind of laugh about because everybody was talking about these numbers and they predicted that the Big Ten was $1.5 to $1.6 billion.
Yeah,
it's actually 1.2, and the 70 to 72 million I'm telling you per team, that includes bowl payouts and also the NCAA tournament money. So they're only going to make 72 million.
Well, I was hearing all this 100 million a year talk.
Well, it's backloaded. It's like most of the contracts.
Okay, so it's the average. It's the average deal.
Okay,
yeah, it's going to keep going up and up, and so the first couple of years they're not going to make as much, and then they're going to make more. But it's still, if you look at the old numbers, it was going to start around 100 million and go up to 129 million. Where actually this is only going to get up to like 105 million. So it's actually not as great as everybody was saying.
Oh,
and now it's only going to be, the SEC deal's 10 years, right?
It's not signed yet.
Yeah.
Right, but it's
they still have a year to.
Years, right?
Are you talking about the Big Ten that's not signed or the SEC's?
The SEC is not signed.
They still have a year to negotiate too, don't they?
And then the Big Ten is 7 years. Is that correct?
7. So it's going to be up in 2030 because it starts in 2023.
All right, let me get to. We had 3 super chats pop up. This one is a joke on the Mormon mission. So thank you, Viva Hernando 1, for the $5 donation. The BYU players must have been on a mission to whoop ass after the ball game. Talking about Memphis in the Miami Beach Bowl. You might be right because they do go on missions a lot, and that might have been their mission for that particular bowl. Judicial protest. I think he actually did the same super chat twice. Hey, that's fine. First, with the $2 donation, ACC will be dominant in football this year, and then with it's a little bit different. $5 donation. ACC will be the dominant football league this year. Okay.
Should we start a pool and find out? Because I think Judicial's mom had went to the store and left her credit card.
Oh.
If she finds out he's doing all this, how long will he be gone this time? I mean, he was gone, 6 days? We hadn't seen him.
Now, it seems to me, yeah, exactly. It seems to me that he's trying to throw us off with these ACC comments. But if you think about it, Notre Dame is loosely affiliated with the ACC, so he might be confirming it.
Yeah.
Notre Dame fan, what do we think, guys?
I think so.
Okay. Well,
yeah, we got some numbers to protest.
Now,
I will say, I think the ACC there'll be a lot more competitiveness and parity. You won't just have Clemson dominate and wipe everybody out. I think there'll be 3 or 4 teams that'll be fighting over, a trip to the championship for that conference. But as far as them dominating football across all, no, not going to happen.
Well, there's a lot of things you got to take into consideration. Number one, the other teams being better, and number two, Clemson. Yes, they're coming off a down year, so everybody's expecting them to have a big rebound year for this year. But they did lose both their offensive and defensive coordinators. That's not, don't worry about that. Like, that's a big deal, especially losing Brent Venables. I think the bigger deal was losing Brent Venables on defense. So, but they do have the players, and I'm not sure how different the new systems are. So I don't know. Judicial is saying that he's using all your mom's credit cards.
Rack them up, buddy.
Hey, all our moms are paying for the show then, right?
That's right. The problem with Clemson, though, losing their assistants and, coordinators is Dabo hadn't lost anybody, really. Venables has been there the whole run. So, I mean, it's not like
the 2011 Orange Bowl, whenever West Virginia shellacked them, that's what brought in Brent Venables from Oklahoma.
Right.
But he's been there over a decade.
Yeah, and I mean, so he hasn't had to deal with what Saban's dealt with every year, every 2 years, losing, half the team. So it's a lot for a coach to have to coach both sides of the ball and bring in, new assistants.
Yeah, right. I mean, I was going to say that this will be a real challenge for Dabo, because a lot of people have been comparing Dabo to Saban, because they had all those back-to-back championships against each other. But yeah, that's a great point. Like, Saban's had to reload over and over. Dabo's never had to do it. So this will be a big challenge. We'll find out, is he the head coach?
And see, the nice thing with Saban is, though, we got 53 analysts, so we can bring in coaches easier, where Dabo doesn't have that luxury.
Good Lord.
Oh, Judicial.
Wow. Crossing every line out there.
He stays just inside the line. I mean, he's right on the line.
He's on the line.
Come on. Answer the man, Tim.
Oh my gosh.
Oh. So hold on. I was talking to my kid. What's going on?
Oh, you don't
want $5 donation.
I'm not even touching that one. This guy's got way too much time on his hands.
He's going to get spanked when his mom comes home and finds out he ran up the credit card.
Oh, man.
All right.
No, but I want to go back to what you were saying, Jeff. And actually, the point I brought up with the Oklahoma fans quite a bit is this is the first time that OU has had a whole football culture change in over a decade, probably 15 years. Because, Bob Stoops was there, and then he just promoted up Lincoln Riley, and all the coaches stayed the same. All the players stayed the same. So they're doing and they think they're going to win the Big 12 and be national champions this year. And I'm like, guys, you haven't gone through this kind of change in a long time.
Somebody else super chat. I can't look at the screen. It makes me laugh every time.
The problem with Oklahoma, Shooter, is they didn't just change coaches. Lincoln Riley showed a lot of top players. So, I mean, they're not only dealing with new coaches, they've got a lot of players missing. And unlike Lincoln Riley at USC, they didn't get a bunch from the transfer portal, that could step in.
It's going to be interesting. Yeah. They're going to have a down year, and they're not ready for it.
But I do think, and I'm not bad-mouthing Riley because I think he's going to do good at USC, but I think Venables is going to be a better OU coach for coaching in the SEC. He's going to be a better defensive coach. Riley can fit in with the Big Ten because the Big Ten don't play as much defense. You know, I mean, Ohio State don't play defense; they're all offense. So USC can have a powerful offense and run through the Big Ten, where Oklahoma had the powerful offense, but they got beat up in the playoffs, and they're not going to make it in the SEC without that defense. So I think Venables is going to be the answer, but it's going to take him 2 to 3 years to get there.
And let's not forget that USC will be in the Pac-12 a couple of years before they make the transition. So, you know, he's going to be recruiting his tail off, and he's going to try to make sure that defense is at least average. You know, he doesn't want to have to score 60 points a game to win a football game.
And Tim, what did you guys bring in? 40 players?
Yeah, we put on 40 players. Hey, and can we put that to rest? I mean, this idea that what the Oklahoma defense was for a couple of years, 2 out of the 3 years that he was there, is what his defense is. I mean, I don't know, you guys. The guy was great in the Pac-12 before. He was good enough that Urban Meyer decided he wanted him on his staff, and good enough that Lincoln Riley wanted him on his staff. I think that judging a defensive coordinator on a couple of years, you know, we all think Brent Venables, and I do think he's great also. But you guys ever saw Brent Venables' numbers at Oklahoma? You guys ever remember? Do you guys remember USC played them in that Orange Bowl? You know who the DC was in that game?
Yeah, no, you're right.
55-19, and we're lucky. And they're lucky that Pete decided to keep it at 55. He could have guessed that number, you know?
Yeah.
But Brent Venables evolved, you know, and Brent Venables is one of the best defensive coordinators in the game now. So sometimes it just takes, you know, the situation, maybe the recruiting base. I know that Oklahoma is great, but they have to pull a lot of they don't get a lot of native Oklahoma 5-stars on their team. They have to pull from Texas a lot, you know. And so when he moved over to Clemson, he started getting those horses. Well, I'm not saying that in any way, shape, or form that Grinch is Brett Venables. I mean, there aren't many Brett Venables out there. But what I am saying is maybe if he's getting USC recruits, homegrown Southern California guys or from Arizona or from Utah, and starts pulling these guys in, that maybe, just maybe, it might work. Because up at Washington State, he had guys up there that weren't very talented, but year in and year out, they were in the top 25, I think, at Washington State in defense. So that's what made him a big name and wanted throughout the country. What he did over at Oklahoma, yeah, it sucked last year. It sucked 2 out of 3 years that he was there, but that doesn't define the guy.
Right.
David, hold on. Let me get this super chat real quick. David Bresler, thank you. Hopefully I'm saying your last name correctly, by the way. Thank you for the $5 donation. Says, yeah, well, BV, talking about Brent Venables, has already out-recruited Sneaky Link. I haven't heard that one. So, better culture, better players. You just had to bring us up, didn't you? We'll win the Big 12.
No way. No way.
Not this year.
I'll go back to my statement yesterday. You can't bring in a whole new coaching staff, lose 2 5-star quarterbacks to 2 USC teams, plus lose everybody that you did lose off of that team, and come in and dominate the Big 12. It's just not going to happen. Maybe year 2 under Brent Venables, but not year 1.
And I'll tell you what, though. Hey, a Golden Blue, you let this guy clown my mom, I will be off the show in a minute. I know he's a piece of crap. I'm pretty amazed you're putting that stuff up on the. I'm
not reading it.
Well, I suggest you read it if you want me to stay on your show, man. Because you can make fun of me, but dude, I'm not gonna let some guy clown my mom for $5, bro. If you need $5 that bad, get someone else to take it. Because I'm serious.
That was below the belt.
Yeah, man. And the previous comment was too. I let that go, but dude, that last one was ridiculous.
Hold on, let me go back to the one before that you said that. I don't.
Never mind. But with Brent Venables, getting back to football, and that whole thing, I think they'll do fine this year. I really and I gotta remind you one thing though, David. You don't win a recruiting championship in August, okay?
Yeah.
You guys are doing good, but you know, let's just say hypothetically, you guys go 8-4, USC goes 10-2. That's going to change a lot of things. Yeah. Hypothetically, you guys go 10-2, USC goes 8-4. That's going to change a lot of things. So, you know, they've done the heavy lifting. NIL has changed how these things go, but as far as you know, who's going to out recruit whom, A, it's year one. B, it's a lot of it's going to be dictated by how well both guys do. I think both guys go about 9-3. I think they'll have solid recruiting classes. But going forward, you'll probably be looking at a situation where whoever's playing better, I would still have to give the advantage to USC only because of where it's located. And it was never a hit on, the University of Oklahoma or it was never Oklahoma University or on the state of Oklahoma. It just turns out that for some reason, Oklahoma is just not turning out a bunch of 5-star recruits on the line. It's just not happening. And it just happens to be that Southern California has a lot of solid defensive linemen. And so it's just an ingrown advantage. Why did Lincoln Riley want to leave? Because he wanted to go somewhere, kind of like Brent Venables did when he went to Clemson, where he had access to all those stud defensive linemen. So that's what it comes down to.
Let me say something. Judicial protest. Let me point out something to you. We're okay with trash talking in here. We were fine with that, but we don't get personal with our messages. So please don't get personal anymore. I will come back in there and time you out.
Well, again, I don't mind personal against me, no problem, but not my mom, man. That's some weird shit.
Yeah, that's low, man.
Yeah.
But like for USC, Tim, USC, every time they're strong, they have coaches that are smart enough to lock down the state. If you just recruit in California and pick a handful of players outside of California, you guys will go 10-2 easy every year. I mean, the talent is in California to win. And
And again, I don't think he was insulting OU when he said that stuff. People took a lot of that out of context. And I mean, I have to tell you, if I could pick where I want, I wish USC was located at where LSU is, because I think that's just, an insanely rich, or where Georgia is. Yeah. I would love to have those hotbeds. But USC, the area right around USC may not be as talented as that, but it's up there with close enough that you could have that recruiting base. I just feel, and what I've heard and when I've read, that Oklahoma is not at that level. That's all.
But look at Alabama when we won. We pulled Najee Harris out of California, Bryce Young come out of, we're getting the players from California that Lincoln Riley will more than likely lock in.
Yeah.
Do you know what he's talking about right here, Tim? He says, wait, Tim can talk crap about my mom, but I can't say anything about his. What a spoiled
bro, we were making fun of you, bro. We were making fun of you, not your mom. So
I just did it.
No, he was probably talking about me. He was probably meaning me because I said his mommy probably went and he's using your credit card. That was probably on me. And that wasn't a hit to his mom.
We're making fun of him.
That he was
using mom's credit card.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I got you.
So anyway, I think we're giving this guy way too much of your show, Golden Blue.
I got you.
Just my little opinion.
I got you.
I took it.
We're on 2 hours anyways, and we got to run here. But don't forget, Joey has the $10 10 p.m. show. I got super chats on the brain. So don't forget about that. And anybody that's a moderator, please put the link to the Patreon page, because now's the best time to become a Patreon. It starts as little as $2 a month, and you have access to all these extra shows. You get discounts on the merchandise store. You get to vote on which college football game we're gonna watch live together, and you get to guess on the score prediction contest. And every week, somebody guaranteed to win $20. So if you're good at guessing scores, Patreon page, you can win yourself a lot of money. Sergeant Pickles 13, thank you for the $1.99 donation. Says, I like you, Tim, even though you are a cheating Trojan. There you go.
Pickles, love you too, man.
Simplified Pickles.
As per usual. And by the way, guys, anybody that's watching the show that's not subscribed to Golden Blue Dude, we have fun. We talk about college football. So if you're a college football fan, hit the subscribe button. I mean, especially now that we're going into the college football season. We get through the off season somehow, some way, but it's the college football season that is what this is all about. So now is the best time to subscribe to the channel. All right, time for the last word for everybody. We will start with TND. What's the last word for you, buddy?
Oh wow, you put me on the spot here. Let's just have a good season. And, shout out to the main man Judicial Protest for giving TBD his rebate for the backyard brawl. And I'll see y'all next time. Take care,
Good
guys.
job, TND. TND, good job, buddy. We will go to Shooter.
Yeah, I just want to brag a little bit on some of the Baylor guys that are in the NFL. It was super fun watching Tyquan Thornton give I think it was the Patriots their first touchdown of the season, and then Treston Ebner giving the Chicago Bears their first touchdown of the season, and then surprise of all, Terrell Bernard gives a scoop and score and gives the first touchdown of the season to the Buffalo Bills. I mean,
Nice.
I just love it. I love seeing these guys do well, and I love seeing them. These are the guys that fought through 1-12, 2-7, 2 coaches, all that garbage, and now they're killing it in the NFL. I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. So just sick 'em Bears. I hope everybody has a great season, and I'm looking forward to football. Can't come soon enough.
Exactly. Well said. And that is something to be happy about. Good job. I'm going to go to Jeff. What's your last word of the day?
Can I tell a story?
Go ahead.
I'm going to tell you guys a Bear Bryant story. This was back in the 70s. Bear Bryant, we were playing Rice, and we ran the wishbone, and Mal Moore was our coordinator. And Bear told Mal, he said, their inside linebackers killing us, run the reverse. Well, we had the ball on the 8-yard line, and you can't run a reverse on the 8-yard line. So he ran a play, and we got out to like the 20, and Bear's like, damn it, Mal, I told you to run a reverse. Well, he didn't want to run it on the 20, so we ran another play up the middle, and Bear's like, run the reverse. And Mal's like, we got to run one more play. And so he ran another one up the middle, and Bear grabbed him by the collar and said, Mal, run the reverse. Well, this was late in the fourth quarter, and we ran the reverse, and we come around when the running back handed it off to the wide receiver. The defensive end on Rice had given out, so he was standing right there, and he made the tackle for a 15-yard loss right in Bear Bryant and Mal Moore's feet. And Bear Bryant looked at Mal Moore and said, damn it, Mel, I meant the other way.
Sorry, I got distracted by this ridiculous super chat. Come on, guys. I mean, that's I know West Virginia gets labeled like that, but that's nonsense.
You guys have a great night.
I don't.
You too, Jeff.
Good
You
night.
too, Jeff.
Good night, Jeff.
So I know Tim wasn't the first one in, but I wanted to let him get the last word besides Joey because he did take a lot of abuse today from the super chat.
Oh, actually, I really don't care about. I've already forgot about that guy. But I just want to say to Jeff, when Jeff made that comment a while back, or how he said that he's taking a class at Alabama because he served in the Marines. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I think if you serve in the armed forces, you should be able to pick whatever school you want, and they should give you a degree. Because anybody that serves in the military, in my book, did a hell of a lot more than I did at 4 years at USC. So I appreciate your service, Jeff. And I will see you later.
Good job.
Easy,
and we apologize, Tim, man. That was
no need to apologize.
Well, it's
Tim,
on me.
me.
I didn't read it. I didn't read it before I put it on.
No, listen. Be really clear. Dude, I know if you'd read that, you wouldn't put it up there. So yeah. I get you, bro. Don't worry about that. That guy's funny. I'm glad he decided to donate his money to you. Don't trust me. Don't think twice. I won't be thinking about once I get off the show. So don't even worry about it.
All right.
Tim, join me tonight. Join me tonight at 10. Join me tonight at 10. Tim.
Yeah, are you to DM? Just DM me the link.
Yeah, I will.
Okay. All right. Bye, guys.
All right. Good job, buddy.
See you later.
Yeah. Anybody interested in an extra live show? Not just tonight, but we have a lot of extra live shows. Go join Patreon along with the long list of perks that you get over there. And finally, Joey Foster, what is the last word of the night for you? Super Chat's kind of got out of control tonight.
Yeah, they did. I've had to time out 4 people, and that's ridiculous. So, it's the same person just coming back in as troll.
Yeah.
So join us tonight, guys, on the Patreon page at 10 o'clock. We'll have a live show. I will post a link in Patreon if you come on. Sometimes you can chat and sometimes you can't. I don't know why that is. If you can't chat when you come in Patreon tonight, for some reason, if you can't chat, go back out and come back in and just keep trying it until you get a chat window. That's the only thing I can tell you, because we have no idea what's going on with that. So, but look forward to everybody joining us. And I guess, so we will have our drawings at the end of the month. Anybody that's super chatted, in for a shot to win a trail cam. Anybody that makes a purchase from our store, you're also in for a chance to win night vision binoculars. And so I did put some more stuff in the store today. We put in 3 more items that say Golden Blue Nation. And if you purchase all 3 of those items, they're all reduced price already. And if you purchase all 3 of them, you get an extra 10% off if you use the code 10K2. That's 10K2. So 10K2. If you'll put that code in and buy all 3 of the items, it's a candle, a mouse pad, and a notebook. All of them say Golden Blue Nation. So
nice.
That's all I have.
Well done, Joey. Well done. All right, guys, that's it for this live show. 2 hours. Usually we can't go that long, but I started a little bit earlier, so we were able to have a little bit of a long show. Thank you to everybody that came and watched the live show, everybody that commented, everybody that hit the thumbs up, super chats, everybody that joined me on live stream. That's what makes this show great. There's a lot of participation that goes around. This is not just me. It's called Golden Blue Dude, the channel, and I represent Golden Blue Dude, but you guys are the real Golden Blue Dude. So appreciate that. Of course, we're well past 10,000 subscribers. That was awesome to see. I'm still in disbelief. It's been almost a week since we've hit 10,000, and I still can't believe it. It's amazing. So, yeah, can't do it without you guys. Hopefully you continue to enjoy the channel. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you can enjoy the channel. Onward and upward, 20,000 is our next goal. Hopefully by the end of the year. That would be great. That would be great. We'll see what happens. But that's all for this show. If you are a subscriber, hit the notifications because I never know when I'm going to go live. So that'll let you know when I do go live. I have a crazy schedule. I really don't have a schedule, so I just fit the live show in whenever I can. But for this live show, that's going to wrap it up. And I'll see y'all tomorrow for the Friday. It should be the best one because Fridays, right? I don't have a Friday because I do videos every day. But for you guys, we'll put out the best live show we can. All right, guys? Y'all have a good Thursday night. We'll see you tomorrow.